guys, now that we're done with amateur road nats here in Roanoke, I'm going to pick things up with some Oregon Trail recap videos because there just wasn't enough time to get that stuff done before we started with the TT on Wednesdays. So Oregon Trail ended on Sunday, June 26th, and then on Wednesday, June 29th, we picked up with the TT for amateur road nats. So 3 days, just wasn't enough time to get the videos out. So we're going to pick up here with stage 1 and kind of walk you through like my whole Oregon Trail experience. So Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder is a 5-day gravel stage race that starts in Sisters, Oregon, which is like 30 minutes west of Bend, maybe south. The interesting thing, so it's 350 miles over 5 days, and it's kind of based around this idea of we're on some of the original routes that the OG pioneers took as they were migrating west back when they were using covered wagons and all of the west was uncharted territory. So with that backstory, it's kind of really interesting to go through these stages and think about that stuff. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed the website at all has like the old school video game, the Oregon Trail video game kind of graphic style. When you fail to finish a stage, instead of listing you as a DNF or did not finish, it says that you've gotten dysentery and had to drop out of the Oregon Trail. So we'll start with Tuesday, the day before Oregon Trail. We did bin pickup and packet pickup and sign in. Russell was there with his Specialized team, so he wasn't going to use his bin. He just threw his bag into the Specialized van, and so he let me take his bin, which was an extra bin for me, which was sweet because you only get 50 pounds of stuff in that bin to bring with you. So this meant that I could bring a thick sleeping pad, and Becca could throw some stuff in my extra bin, and so it just made the whole packing process a lot easier. But it still was a late night packing per usual. Wednesday morning we woke up pretty early for a 9 a.m. start. We had to do that drive to Sisters, and we had to get there early to drop our bins off. So it was pancakes, and then we hit the road and made it out to the start. So the first day, not a super big day, 65.8 miles with like 5,200 feet of climbing. They had to actually modify this stage from last year's route because even as early as the week before the Oregon Trail started, they were getting snow up high. And so Chad and the Oregon Trail crew were actually out there with a skid steer, like plowing some of the track, and they put a ton of work in to try to make it like enjoyable for us. And so really thank those guys for that. Because of that, we couldn't go up to the highest point we did last year, and so this year the stage was maybe 5 or 8 miles shorter, which just meant that it was going to be harder instead of longer. So things started out and had a neutral start until we got onto the pavement, and then we just kind of worked our way towards the first section of gravel. I think it was 5 miles on pavement before then. I looked over at Finsty. He told me I should just attack, and I don't know, it sounded like a bad idea, but I decided to go for it anyway. And I got off the front, and then before you know it, 2 other people were on my wheel, and then Finsty jumped too. So it was me, Finsty, Steven Davis, and Colton, who Colton got 4th in the race last year. So we just started trading pulls, and before you know it, we were out of sight of the group. I guess this took Pete and Chris by surprise. I think they were back in the back of the group, not paying attention. I think they thought it was still neutral, but it wasn't. So we turned right onto the first bit of gravel and just kind of had as much room as we wanted to on the road. And this is where we kind of gradually started climbing up that first climb. Once Pete and Chris and the rest of the dudes that were vying for the GC spot realized we were off the front, they started putting the hammer down and actually quickly closed that gap, much quicker than I thought, considering they were completely out of sight and we were moving pretty good. We hit maybe halfway up the climb, and that's when they latched onto us, and that was kind of the end of our day out front. From there, it was the Pete, Howie, and Chris' show. I got dropped pretty quick from the front group. Russell hung on for a little bit more but got dropped. And then Colton and I were kind of rolling across the top in the sandy sections together. Right off the top, you hit a super chunky, gnarly section that I didn't get on film. But it's only like a quarter mile of that stuff, and then you drop into a really ripping gravel descent. So basically, from the time I turned left after that gnarly section, I was by myself the rest of the day. Just a lot of really nice gravel, really beautiful views after that, kind of like gradual climbing, nothing super steep or anything. Coming up on the second feed is where I started to get some company again. Matt came up on me, and I really needed some water. We still had 12 miles to go at this point, and I stopped for water, but he kept going and got a big gap on me. So I spent the next downhill trying to catch him, but to no avail. So he gapped me by maybe 30 seconds, and then Eddie Anderson was the next guy to come up on me. And when Eddie came up on me, I made it a point to stick on his wheel. We were kind of rolling that last bit of climb together, and then we ripped the last descent together into the finish, and it actually ended up sprinting each other. I got him, but we finished at the same time. So finished the first day in 6th place, I think. Then we all kind of rolled over to camp together. Tent city was already set up, and then we were just hanging out. Went and sat in the river some, and this was like my favorite part of Oregon Trail. Everybody camps and hangs out together, and it's just a really good time. So first day, Sisters to McKenzie. Pretty spicy day, shorter stage, and there's more of that to come. So thanks for watching. I'll pick up next time with stage 2.